Okay. So I just wanted to take a moment to make some quick chapter announcements for those of you that are here. The big thing on the radar is going to be our elections are coming up. Sally Johnson has put together our nominating committee, and I believe we're set to start the call for nominations, I believe is starting next week. So that's going to be open until October 4th. The two positions that are up is the president position and the VP of membership. In order to qualify to throw your name in the hat for those positions, you must be a member of the Baton Rouge chapter, and have everything in good standing. She's going to be communicating through email a little bit more about the roles and responsibilities for each of those positions. And just to keep y'all aligned, that'll wind up closing in October, and then elections will start and run through October 31st. So that should be coming out in y'all's emails soon, and also on the website. Another couple of things that we've got going on. We've got our in-person meeting is going to be held next week on Wednesday at Portobello's. That's going to be Albert DuPont talking about managing the technology of broadcasting NFL games. So he's with Loyola, has done stuff for the Saints before. So that's out on the website. If you haven't had an opportunity, please take a look at that and see about registering. So those are the big things for right now. There's another thing that I'm wanting to organize that I'm just going to mention right now, and people can indicate to me later if they're interested. There is a St. Jude's walk that's being organized in Baton Rouge. It's 5-10K. The date on that is going to be Saturday, September 30th. I plan on going to that, and I'm hoping to organize a team on behalf of the chapter. It is technically it's free to attend, but I'm going to try and put something out there where if people do the $25 donation, they get the shirts, and then we can do that fundraiser donation on behalf of the chapter. So I'll announce that again at the end. There's nothing on the website about it, but if it's something that y'all are interested in, or people are going to meet me there and attend, just email me at president@PMIBatonRouge.org, and I can see about putting a team together. So, all right. Reading through the notes. Y'all are being quiet tonight. Anybody else got any certification news or anything like that to announce? Or looking for new jobs? Anything like that going on?
Anyone had a great vacation? Can share places. Maybe we can plan for next year.
Hey, Tanya, just one thing I want to kind of add real quick. I'm with Cox Communications, of course, and my boss's boss, our AVP, he has tasked a couple of us with presenting a SharePoint page that other members can go to within our engineering management office to kind of review like PDUs. So kind of what we were talking about earlier. And I came across projectmanagement.com, which I know is part of PMI. They have like several free webinars. Like I was shocked by how many resources they have for PDUs out there. So if anyone's interested in getting PDUs, projectmanagement.com is like a great place to start.
That's a great point. And even getting PDUs, did you know you can get it from books? You can self-report on books. You can get it from mentoring. You can get it from volunteering and giving back. I've done some information on that a while back, but that's probably worth revisiting with people too, just to kind of encourage the thinking outside of the box and the different ways that those can be accomplished. But yeah, projectmanagement.com is a great resource. And even heading into next year, I mean, we're still kind of holding off on some of the 2024 planning until after elections, but there's some different groups out there that we're talking about maybe hosting on our website for PDUs and just discussing some different options that might come into play. So
Awesome.
let's see. And I do see a question. I know this was a direct question to me, so I'll educate the group. It was asking me about retirement or senior discounts for the chapter. We don't have any specific discounts for the local chapter. So our annual dues for Baton Rouge are $30, but I believe PMI National, there's certain criteria for retirees that if they meet it, they can get a discounted rate on PMI National. And for anybody that you know that may be students, normally the PMI National membership is $139 a year. For students, they'll have to prove tuition, but it's $32 a year. And then our local membership is still $30. And just kind of an educational factor, people can join multiple local chapters even outside of their geographic distance. So for instance, I actually am a member of the Dallas chapter, which Natalia is here representing. I did that because the dues that I paid would allow me to get into their virtual meetings for a discounted rate, you know. So I just wanted to plug that. Well, with that, well, Natalia, we've got 57. There will probably be more that wind up joining throughout. So I will take a look at things, you know, before we go into the breakout sessions and just kind of monitor on that.
Yes,
But I wanted to.
I'm sorry for interruption, but talking about certifications and events and PDUs, I would like to add. I mean, I have my PMP and I have also CSM. It's a Scrum Alliance. So very often I'm able, if someone else has the same, so I'm able to file PDUs from the same event very often for my PMP and for Scrum Alliance.
Definitely.
So if you don't do this, I mean, it has to be relevant. It has to be like, you know, agile related or something. But I mean, I did it for the last couple of years. I didn't have any issues with that.
Well, I think we're about to get started. So I wanted to thank Natalia for being here tonight. So tonight she's going to give us advice on the importance of presenting quality feedback. And thank you to all of us for joining us. So for those of you that may have not met Natalia, she's with the PMI Dallas chapter. You've been in their communications role. And I think, have you been in the professional development role as well too?
No.
Communications.
I've been in communications for almost like, I don't know, 7 years.
Okay. So I know you've been connected with it for a long time. So, well, go ahead and get you to share your screen. I'll let you know too. Make sure that it's on.
So let me try to share my screen. Okay, share sound. And I think it's this one. Okay. Can you see it?
Yes, I can see it. Thank you.
1 second, let me.
One last question. If I see questions in the chat, do you want to take them at the end or do you want me to interject and have them answered in real time?
We can take them to the end.
Okay.
I mean, we will have some questions when we probably have some discussion.
Okay.
But so I guess let's see. I mean, ask questions because I mean, I would like to. I mean,
all righty, that works. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for joining this evening, just spending your time with me. So today I will be talking about the importance of providing feedback. Okay, we will be talking what is definition of feedback and why it is valuable. We will be talking about cultural differences between men and women, kids, people of different nationalities, and why some people have heard more than others. We also will be talking about difference between bad, good, and exceptional feedback, how to ask for a good feedback, and how to provide valuable feedback. And also, I think a lot of people would love to know this, how to provide feedback to your boss. So as a leader, we need to remember that feedback is a continuous improvement. We improve ourselves when we receive feedback and when we provide feedback. Seeking and giving advice is central for effective leadership and decision making. I was reading a very interesting article. The name of the article, The Art of Giving and Receiving Advice. It was written by David Garvin and Joshua Margolis. And they said that people who give effective advice wield soft influence. They shape important decisions while empowering others to act. Also need to remember that feedback is a process, and it is extremely important to create a process or guidelines for each stage of feedback. And also during our session, we also have team practice how to give and receive good feedback and constructive feedback. So what is feedback? According to the Google, feedback is information about reaction to a product, a person's performance, or a task. So which the Oxford Languages gives us a definition. Why do I want to talk about this? Why have I decided to talk about it? This subject was very important for me all the time. When I look back to my childhood, my school years, my college, my early career, I never received feedback that I could use to improve myself, my skills, as far as I remember. Did I do things right or did I do things wrong? I don't know. I probably did some things right because if I did things wrong, I would hear criticism. And I'm sure, I mean, a lot of you had the similar situations. So when, where and when do we use feedback? We use it between children and parents. Children with children when they play with each other, right? When on the playground, at school, or school, college, workforce, when people trying to learn a new skill, hobby, or sports. For feedback, we use different words, different synonyms, and you can see on the screen that, I mean, there is a lot of words for feedback, similar words. We use it in different languages, cultures, situations, but it has the same meaning, continuous improvement. And without feedback, we cannot get better. You can see on the slide that I mentioned that with these words, but I see also continuous improvement, only this for feedback. Maybe you have different opinion later and you can share it in a little bit. I was reading a very interesting article, The Power of Talk. Who gets heard and why? It was written by Deborah Tannen for Harvard Business Review, and she's an American artist and professor in linguistics in Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. And she did research on how people communicate between each other, and she observed how ways of speaking learned in childhood affects judgment and competence and confidence, as well as who gets heard. Kids learn how to communicate when they play between each other. Very often boys express themselves while they're playing different from girls. Boys are rewarded by their peers if they talk about their achievements. And several boys can argue about something if they don't agree about it. Girls are opposite. If girls group girls group has usually only one leader and the others are followers. So kids are playing, kids are learning. And when they become adults, they carry their communication style, what they learned from their childhood to their adulthood, professional lives, communications between colleagues. Many of us work in cross-cultural teams, and knowing how to communicate between all these teams are essential. If you want that your team will hear you better, it's very important to learn cultural differences. So originally, I'm from Russia. And in Russian culture, it is very common to provide very direct feedback and very often without detailed explanation. So, for example, if you have a colleague from Germany, we know that they're direct and they're going to let you know that this project is not going well and it will not be completed on time. When we provide feedback, a person from Germany, that person will appreciate direct feedback in many cases. It will be different for a colleague from Greece or Italy who would prefer softer, or we will say indirect feedback. Several years ago, I like to use my personal examples because I lived through these examples, through this, and I felt it, so I feel like I can share it with you all, if you don't mind. Several years ago, I worked at DSV, Global Transport and Logistics. It's a Danish company. And I worked with people from different countries. People from Denmark, very soft, very polite people, and they used should almost in every sentence. You know, after I had their meetings with them, and when they tell you should do this, you should do that. And I said, okay, this is probably, if I don't want to do that, I shouldn't, right? So it's just a suggestion. But then my manager told me, you know, there should, it means like if they repeated it several times, it means must. So you have to learn it. And thanks to my manager, she mentioned it to me. So about Americans are more in the middle. I think we're concerned about the project and it might be delayed. So completely direct feedback, according to studies, for Americans is not going to work. It might offend people. In Asian cultures, people do not like to offend each other and they will be very soft. Our team is working very hard, but it will be hard to meet this timeline. So most of the Asian countries prefer to use soft, indirect feedback. So, and I can say it could be different for German people or for Asian people. For example, for German person who worked in, grew up in America or Asia, or again, Asian person who grew up in Germany, that person can tolerate direct feedback. So that's why it is very important to learn with whom you're working, who is your team. Talking about men and women, study shows that women in general are a lot softer than men, and when we talk, we're trying not to offend our peers and friends when we provide feedback or give advice. So during evaluation, men and women will get completely different feedback for the same task or action. Also, I would like to say that most of the time men sound more confident, louder than they talk about some ideas with colleagues than women. And again, it's coming from our childhood. It's how we learn how to play. Depending on the team, cultures, the same feedback would be interpreted differently. It is extremely important to understand each team member if you want to build a good relationship with them. Please do your homework, learn about your teammates. It will help you to build better relationships with your team, and as a result, be more productive. So, how to provide feedback? So, what is feedback? Feedback is a tool for improvement, and it's very critical to know how to provide constructive, positive, and detailed feedback. And I mentioned previously, by providing feedback and getting feedback, we're growing personally and professionally. So could you tell me in what areas do we get feedback most of the time before Can you share some information with me? Just a couple of people. Not just professional life. Where did, I mean, before it became to our, like, you know, everyday thing at work, where else can we get feedback? Okay, who loves sports? Who is practicing sports? How do you get better at running, jumping, playing football, skiing, or something, doing something else? The pattern is very simple. What do we do? We practice, we get feedback from a coach or teammates, right, with whom we practice, and then we get feedback. And it repeats in cycle until you get whatever desirable result. You can practice over and over, but if you not get valuable opinion of what should you improve or how to get better, you would be stepping on the same place. So one step at a time, one improvement at a moment. And remember, when you were a child and someone tells you, let's run together and compare who is faster, or let's pretend you're a famous dancer and let's dance on a playground, what would you say? Would you do this? Of course, as a child, you say, let's do that. And as an adult, would you say, if someone would suggest you the same, would you do that? Most of the adults like to feel comfortable inside the bubble, and it takes hard to pop this bubble and try to do something new that you have never done before and succeed at that. And we talk about our hobbies, about personal lives, about careers, professional lives. But before we succeed, we have to work at certain things, practice, and of course, receive feedback. And very often, emotionally, it's very hard to receive a negative feedback and not to give up, especially when you're an adult. So on this picture, you can see two of my kids. And I mean, they're a lot older now. So they're babies here, but now they're 15 and 11. And I can say that my favorite hobby is karate. And I started coming to the karate studio with my kids several years ago. And at some point, I decided, why do I need to sit on the bleachers and wait for kids while I can learn something new during this time? So guess what you did? I joined the karate studio. So on this picture, you can see a line of belts on the slide. And I started with a white belt. It's not on the slide, but you get the white belt when you join the studio. They give it to you for free, just because you joined and you want to learn. You don't have to earn it. So in order to advance, I had to practice many techniques and forms by myself with my different people from the studio, instructors, and then show them those techniques and forms for feedback. Sometimes I had to show the same form 10 to 20 times before I get an advancement stripe on my belt. So you can see on the right side, you can see my green belt testing. So, and I can say that without good quality feedback from my instructors and my teammates, I wouldn't be able to achieve this. So now, by the way, now I can say I'm working on my brown belt. I'm about 2 stripes away from that. So of course, I will share that information when I achieve it. So I would like to show some video. Again, it's from my karate life. Example on feedback and how result pattern works. Instructor on this video will provide direct and very specific feedback, plus my teammates would support and help me achieve desirable result.
Right up.
Yeah. That's pretty cool though.
Yeah. Like, wait,
yeah. Let's go, Natalia!
Natalia!
All the way through. All the way through.
Keep it tight, okay? You kind of hit the edge. You let your arm out a little bit. You okay? Hit
Come
this
on,
couple
girl.
times.
She's like, I gotta know. Yeah, there you go.
Keep it tight. Keep it
Keep it
tight.
tight.
I'm gonna take this right here, okay?
All right, let's go, Natalia. Yeah.
Straight up.
Okay, so without that feedback, I mean, it was a quiet experience. I can tell you that the first time when I hit the board, it was pretty painful. You know, we have a lot of nerves in your elbow. So, I mean, I felt it. But then I listened and I did whatever they told me to do. So it worked. So feedback works. So we talked about feedback, a lot of experience, right? A lot of fun stuff. But I would like to talk about numbers. So one poll conducted survey on behalf of Bonusly, and poll results of 2,000 Americans who have been employed in the last 5 years or currently searching for a new job. And results showed that about 59% of people have never had a boss who truly appreciates their work. 63% of workers feel unappreciated by their employer on a daily basis. 29% willingly give up a week's worth of pay for more recognition from their employer. And 65% admit that they would work harder if they felt would be noticed by management. So again, we love numbers, we love statistics. A little bit more of numbers. 75% of employees who do receive feedback feel that it's incredibly important to their work. And about 45% of respondents who also value feedback from their peers and customers, but less than 30% of respondents actually receive feedback on their work. So companies also, with the surveys, it shows that companies who provide regular feedback, they have lower turnover rates and it engage people more. So 92% of people believe that constructive criticism is effective at improving performance. 63% of Gen Z said that they want to hear more timely constructive performance feedback through the year. So, I mean, I'm not Gen Z, but I would like to get constructive and criticism, let's say that, and about my performance and how to improve what also through the year, not just when like evaluation time, maybe once a year or twice a year. 80% of Gen Y said that they would prefer on-the-spot recognition over formal reviews. So you can see, even with statistics, it shows that provide feedback, it is very important. So now let's talk about positive feedback. We can divide positive feedback on bad, good, and exceptional. What is the difference between all of them? For example, we have scenarios like your employee, like for example, website designer, gave a very successful presentation about new website features to a client. After that presentation, client decided to sign a contract to upgrade their website. Feedback number 1. Jim, great job on the presentation. Is this a good feedback? Feedback number 2. Jim, great job on the presentation. Our client liked all those new features that you added to the website. Is it a good feedback? Is it better than the first one? And example number 3, Jim, you did such a great job on your presentation about the new features. Our client was very pleased with all work that you have presented to them. They want to sign a contract to update their website. Next week, they want to come to their office and give this presentation to their CEO. And I want to thank you for such a great job. It means a lot to me and to our department. So, which feedback was bad? Which feedback was good? And which one was exceptional? Can someone tell me? So talking about first feedback, it wasn't bad, right? I mean, hi, you did a great job. That's it. But does it give you any information? Probably not, right? So I would consider this feedback as a bad feedback. However, I mean, it's still positive. Good feedback, it was feedback number 2 when you share a little bit of information with your developer who did such a great job. And the last third example is an example of an exceptional feedback where you provide in details what person did, the client's reaction, and what to expect from that. So from what do you think, from which feedback your teammate or employee will be more motivated to do a better job next time? So I think, of course, it will be feedback number 3. So to provide feedback could be direct and indirect, and formal and informal. So now I would like to talk about feedback process with certain steps that we should follow. So step number 1, prepare your feedback, think through what you want to say, write down bullet points. Think about specific details, think about effective way to deliver the message. How are you going to do that? One-on-one, email, online meetings via Zoom or Teams. And ensure your feedback has specific examples that demonstrates your points. Before we were thinking about what to say, now you need to think about how to say it. Think about tone of your voice. For instance, if you deliver a constructive feedback, ensure the tone of your voice supportive, friendly, informal, and suggest how to overcome challenges. It's important to create a friendly environment where people would feel comfortable and not confrontational. It's important to learn facts and use specific examples. It will help another person to understand your point of view. And after you provide feedback, your point of view, ask that person that he or she thinks that, I mean, they agree with that, how they feel about that. So please remember that providing feedback is a two-way street. Listen to that person, which is open mind, and try to understand why he or she has a different opinion. Be consistent with your feedback. Sometimes, I mentioned previously that women and men can get different feedback for the same things, what they're doing. Sometimes women will get negative feedback on behavior that men colleague shows well. So make sure you provide consistent and equal feedback. Provide your feedback with specific facts. Again, it is very important. And maybe like provide facts and ensure that another person can use those facts and examples to improve himself. And of course, remember about cultural differences when you provide feedback. So we talked about it previously as well, that each nationality, each culture can accept feedback different, and they can hear completely different things. That's why it is important to prepare before you're providing feedback. So now we talked about positive feedback. Now I would like to practice positive feedback. So Tanya, we have about 60 people, right?
We have about 60. So I was thinking if we've got 5 people in a room, maybe break 12 rooms. So y'all, I'm about to do the breakout session.
Yes, just 1 second. I want to give just a short instruction because I mean, they will not be, just if you can take a screenshot of the slide just to make sure what you need to do. Please, because you will not see this slide when you will be in the break room. So please just discuss as a group, pick an example or a couple of examples. Example of the positive feedback that you received recently. Was it a valuable feedback? Was detailed information provided? Did it help you to move forward? And we'll spend about maybe 5 minutes on that.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and try this. Hopefully no tech glitches. So let me see. I'm gonna create 12 breakout rooms. And when y'all get back, let me know about the feedback. All right, let's see. Open all rooms. Okay, first time, let's see. Natalia, is this working?
It looks like it is working. Yeah, I'm staying in the main room, but yes, I got an invitation.
Okay, let me see. Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't have an environment before where I could practice it in real time with a lot of people. So I'm even looking to see which room I'm in or how to administer closing it. So
Hi, Doug. I can see you now.
I'm gonna stay. I need to stay in the main room actually as well. I need to go offline just for a few minutes. I'll stay in the conference. So great presentation so far. I'm glad I'm here. Thank you.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Doug.
Tanya, Doug is from PMI Dallas chapter as well.
I know, Doug. Yeah.
Yeah.
So lots of roles, lots of responsibilities in the past, like, I don't know, how many, 7 years also?
Well, yeah, a long time, almost the same amount of time. And I feel bad because I've missed a couple of your presentations. And so I've definitely wanted to make sure I made this one tonight.
Thank you, Doug.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need more training on this breakout.
I think you're doing great. Yeah,
There's no
it's
feedback
fine.
on
It's
that.
well executed. All right, I'll be right back.
Okay, see you later.
So you're timing, right? 6:12, so about 6:15.
Yeah, I thought for some reason I've seen it administered on other things where it automatically does the countdown. So I'm gonna.
Let me put the timer then just in case.
Okay. Yeah,
Let's do
maybe you can train me
Yeah.
offline on that sometime. So
Does the recording capture all this as well in the main room?
yes, it does. It does. That's fine though. I mean, opportunity
sure.
to grow. So, all right, I've got it set for AM. Let me change that because my alarm time where I wake up a certain time. I'm going to set it for 6:16 p.m. So, all right. So those are in here. Guess I'll start for who can see us. So valuable feedback would just, as you illustrated, be specific to the circumstance, be worded appropriately. If there is an instance of constructive feedback that's needed, my preference is it can be direct, but it needs to be direct with the intent to improve, not tear down. Definitely had multiple experiences in that. So
yeah, we will talk about constructive feedback in a little bit.
okay, that sounds good. I guess feedback the chapter had received recently, we did receive a lot of great emails on our professional development day, the quality of the speakers, just the opportunity for everybody to be in person and connect, so that's always awesome.
Yeah, it is important. What kind of tool do you use for feedback?
What kind of what?
What kind of tool do you use?
Honestly, it's been very manual. We need to start more surveys as a chapter. A lot of that is just attributed to that we have the 4 elected positions and 1 volunteer. So just administering that. But I did get some ideas from y'all's chapter a while back where I'd see feedback in the surveys at the end. So perhaps when there's more hands on in 2024, we can start that to collect feedback differently. Because I think in real time, it's good rather than sending out emails afterwards
Mhm.
because people can kind of suffer from just being inundated with too many emails.
Excuse me, is there a way that I can be placed back into room 10? I kind of got dropped.
I honestly do not know how to do that manually.
Okay.
Brittany, I wish I did. It's actually, I'm about to close all of the rooms too. It's first rodeo
Okay.
with trying
No
with
worries.
breakout
I
rooms.
went. I did my
Okay.
part. So, because
Okay.
there's only 3 of us in our room. So I did go. So I just wanted to
Okay.
listen to anybody else's feedback, but that's fine. Thank you.
Oh, great. Okay, well, I'm gonna close the rooms, and Natalia, afterwards, I'm sure you've got a segment, I think, if I'm remembering correct, where you allow people to kind of share what they learned, correct?
Yes, I would like to spend about 3 minutes on that. If you can time,
Okay.
if you can time
Awesome.
on that also, just to make sure we don't go over time, because sometimes
Sure. Okay.
uh,
Well, I'm
it's
gonna close
getting
all the
exciting
rooms.
and people share their opinions. I mean, it's a good conversation, but
Okay.
when you time it.
I've given them, they've got 60 seconds to leave the breakout room. So. Kim, okay, yeah. Got disconnected, so work in progress, y'all.
You know, I'm always learning. I mean, manage Zoom, like with rooms and anything. So when
Yeah.
I did the presentation for the Dallas chapter, Red told me, do you want to get like rights and do it by yourself? I said, nope. I will
Yeah,
mess it
this has
up. So
been
it tells me that
24 months of learning. No, actually longer than that. We're in 2023. It's been 36, 32 months. Constant learning on the fly with Zoom. So, all right. I think everybody looks like everybody else is back in the room, I believe. Okay. Ashaki, I know you're great at breakout rooms. I've seen you do it. Need some instruction one day.
You did excellent. We got there safely and came back safely.
Y'all came back? All right.
Good job.
So everyone is back? Great. Okay, so who would like to share information? Just, what you were talking about. What kind of, did you get a good feedback? Was it valuable? Maybe you shared some feedback that you got at work, and just, get some feedback on that. So who would like to share this information? So now it's an open conversation with the audience, with everyone.
Hi, Natalia. And of course, my dog's going to start barking the second I start talking. Sorry, which is why I stayed muted the whole time. But one thing we talked about in our group, Jen K gave a good example, but I'll just give mine. I had received some recent feedback in a project. We typically worked our projects using Excel spreadsheets, and we recently moved to Teams. And we had a situation where we used the planner app within Teams to really break out deliverables. And some of the deliverables were put in like with combined deliverables for multiple departments, and it caused our marketing department to miss an important date for some signage they needed to create. So I received feedback from the marketing manager. We realized that having a combined task card like that was not a good idea, even though they were interrelated tasks. They were for different areas, and it was easy for things to get missed. So we corrected that in Teams, broke everything out individually. So yes, the feedback was valuable. It got fixed. We broke everything out, and it's helping us move forward by everyone having their individual tasks in that particular group of tasks. So no more dates have been missed since.
So that's great. So her feedback was valuable in this case, right? And
Definitely.
it was provided in the correct way.
Yes, he came and actually talked to me about it in person, gave me examples of, it was apologetic because of what happened, because they did miss an important date, but also gave me examples that benefit me as a project manager to make sure something like that doesn't happen again.
Oh, that's great. Kim, thank you very much for sharing it. Anyone else? And crickets. Guys, I'm sure you have a lot of positive feedbacks. Just be brave, share.
Definitely. We would definitely love more of y'all to share what y'all learned in the rooms, just so we can kind of grow and learn together.
So I'll go, Tanya. I didn't end up in a room with anyone. I was in my own room, so I did some self-reflecting, during this time. But so for me, I get a lot of positive feedback at work from my leaders, but it's never in depth like how we kind of talked about earlier. So my manager just kind of tell me like, "Oh, you're doing a great job." I don't hear any complaints, and that's kind of like that's all I get. So do you have any pointers of like how I could receive like more details or like how to kind of address that?
So that's it relates to those, feedback example number one, when we get a great job. It's a positive feedback, right? And a lot of people love it. But in order to grow, we need to get more details. So what I would do, I said, could you give me a little bit more details about this? I would ask for more details, even for the positive feedback, in a nice way.
Okay.
So
thank you.
anyone else? Thank you very much for sharing, Tori.
In our room, I don't know, we discussed pretty much the same, like with feedback, great job, or, oh, I didn't like that. Can you be specific? I get that you liked it, or I get that you hated it, but can you let me know why? But yeah, that's pretty much what we discussed in our room.
Okay, thank you, Sean. And that's why I mentioned, in order to prepare for feedback and give it to teammates, or even, we talk about how to provide feedback for a team manager, just be ready, have facts, share facts, not opinion. It is very important. So thank you very much. I hope you had great experience with this exercise. Now we're going to move forward just to make sure we are on time. This is timer that we did not need. So we discussed positive feedback, and you shared some examples. Thank you very much. And now I want to talk about bad news. It's very challenging to provide a negative feedback. We're going to call it developmental feedback. And think about it thoroughly, how you want to say it. Again, remember the tone of your voice is extremely important. It should sound friendly and informal. Find a place where your person would feel comfortable. A person with whom you plan to talk should feel psychological safety. Invite the person for a cup of coffee or lunch, or go for a walk. If these options are not an option, not working for you, just get a conference room. If you're in a conference call, ensure that no one disturbs you during that call. It's important to have a camera on. Smile with your eyes. Friendly face can help you to build good rapport and good relationship. When you start providing developmental feedback, start with a positive outcome. Tell a person what he did good. After that, move to the problematic area. Be constructive, use facts. Again, facts are important. Make sure your feedback would help to move forward situation and explain your vision. Please use your soft skills, people skills. Be patient when you provide negative feedback. People can react in different ways when you hear what they don't like to hear, right? Ask a person if he needs to think about what you said before giving you a response. Maybe they need a day or two to think through. And if they need to think about it, suggest to schedule a follow-up meeting. And I love this video. Honestly, I have people skills. So, and please don't behave like that when you get a negative feedback.
What you do in Initech is you take the specifications from the customers and you bring them down to the software engineers.
Yes, that's right. Well, then I just have to ask, why couldn't the customers just take them directly to the software people, huh?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because engineers are not good at dealing with customers.
So you physically take the specs from the customer?
Well, no, my secretary does that, or the fax.
Huh. So then you must physically bring them to the software people.
Well, no. Yeah, I mean, sometimes.
What would you say you do here?
Well, look, I already told you. I deal with the goddamn customers so the engineers don't have to. I have people skills. I am good at dealing with people. Can't you understand that? What the hell is wrong with you people?
So you can see it is a comedy, it is funny, but in a lot of cases, you can get the same reaction, right, from a person, and you need to learn how to deal with that. Or maybe one of us can react the same way. So again, we need to learn how to receive negative feedback and don't get too hot. So, we talked about negative feedback, and I don't know, let's spend about maybe 3 minutes also in the rooms. Tanya, I would like you to share developmental feedback. So provide developmental feedback to each other. What should be fixed? Did it help to move forward? Did a person who received that feedback feel comfortable during this time? So let's spend about 3 minutes on that, and we will come back and we will share the experience.
All right, open in the rooms. Let's see. Okay. All right, and I think this time I'm just going to randomly join one and see how the experience goes. So coming back at about 6:31. Okay.
I think that movie is one of the most influential sort of. I love that. Great.
I love
clip. Could watch that one all the time.
I have another video. I have another video from the same movie, but I'm afraid, I will not be able to show it because we're kind of running out of time.
Yeah.
I would like to have a session, like a question Q&A session.
Cool.
But I showed it to PMI, Global, and they told me that I have to write the disclosure that.
Oh, of course. Yeah, for the rights, or yes, or the yeah. All right.
So, but no, this is great. You're just learning from these comedies.
Yeah. No, and I like the feedback everyone's presenting. And it's good. I'm glad I'm attending this.
I joined a room party of one. So
did
back. Yeah, it shows you sometimes what you need to work on. So. Yeah, I want to hear people's examples of how they handle negative feedback, and just different. I like your advice on how it should be delivered, but I know we've probably all dealt with instances where that's not the delivery we've received. So even sometimes reacting to that appropriately.
That's
Can
why
be-
in my opinion and in my experience, what I learned, like instead of firing it, I would just, like live through, think about it,
Yeah.
just write it down, just calm down a little bit, and then, give constructive details about this.
That's the best for me too. It's sometimes it's tough not to respond in the moment, but it's usually best if it's a messy conversation to take some time to reflect and
I agree.
then orchestrate your response in a more appropriate way.
Because you don't want yelling people. You don't want to yell at the person because maybe you got some negative feedback from the higher, like from CEO, and then you need to share it and deliver it immediately.
Yeah.
But still, like, don't do it at the same moment while you feel bad and feel upset.
See.
And I think it's the same. I mean, even in your life, in your personal life, with your family, with kids, with everything. Sometimes, I mean, with my kids, I have to, okay, stop. I have to think. I need to calm
Right.
down. I will talk with you in 5 minutes.
Right. Let me make sure. Okay. So I had some people, they were booted out the room, but I had closed it. So it should be everybody getting back into this main room as well. I think.
I see everyone is here.
Okay.
And I would like to ask who would like to share your experience with constructive feedback. Was it useful? Did you feel comfortable? Did you feel psychological safety that, I mean, and was it delivered the way that you would use the feedback and for your improvement, or for not for your improvement, for the improvement that you need to do a certain task? Or
where's the truth? Taking a leaf from the book of Saint Bonaventure, 1268. None of us can't agree on a new pope. So what does Bonnie do? He locks them up without any food.
I can hear a little bit of feedback, but I'm trying to figure out where it's coming from. So did anybody have observations about the like Kim, I show that you're off of mute. Were you sharing about the feedback?
What would you have me do?
okay, I guess, I mean, if no one wants, I don't know, constructive feedback is a little bit different, and maybe not everyone wants to share it. And
I wasn't about to share. I was trying to give, I guess, that background noise the opportunity to cease. But
thank you.
okay, in my group, there was some, I guess, pretty good information shared, and I didn't get to mention in the previous breakout room, but my partner shared about a book that she's read that helped her, and I took notes on it, called Thanks for the Feedback. And so in reading that book, it helps provide just constructive criticism based on whether you're in person or when you're virtual, because those settings do change how you have to present that feedback, because you're not in the same space as the people that you're trying to provide, whether bad or constructive criticism for, and just how it's important with whatever feedback that we're providing, that we're kind of, I guess she used the statement, sitting in it and processing it ourselves to make sure that we're giving the best feedback to whomever it is that we're speaking with. And so that was just one of my biggest takeaways in listening to her, is that before we are so ready to provide feedback, that we've thought it out thoroughly and looked at all angles of the feedback to understand what it is that the message that we want to provide.
Yes, that's correct. So that's I also mentioned that environment is very important. How are you going to say, if you're speaking with the person in the room or like at the coffee shop and trying to provide constructive feedback. I know a lot of us, and sometimes I'm guilty at that, and I see a lot of people doing this. I mean, you're talking with a person and you like, staring at your phone at the same time. Is it a good idea? Probably not. So just we need to look at that person. We need to make sure that person feels comfortable. But thank you very much for sharing this information. I really appreciate it. So anyone else?
Just to bounce off of that, I wanted to mention that one of the men in our groups, maybe his name was Bob, I'm sorry, I'm messing up your name, but mentioned how important it is too to understand the full picture of the feedback you're providing before you provide it. Just bringing back to mind that I know I have been the recipient of developmental feedback where the person really just didn't know the whole picture. Otherwise, they might have given different feedback or no feedback at all.
Yes, agree. Thank you very much.
Natalia, I might add that in our group, we did have someone that shared an example of poor feedback, and then someone who did provide positive developmental feedback to someone in his group, it sounded like. But we did talk about, as a former Toastmaster, the part of it is speaking, but part of learning as a Toastmaster, you learn how to give good feedback. And it's called the sandwich method. Thank you, Rob, for clarifying that for me, where you share something positive about the work or, as part of your feedback, something positive, and then something like a constructive or some kind of a suggestion, and then end with a positive note so that it's maybe better, leaving it, on a positive note, they take it away and can, understand it better.
Yes, I agree. Sandwich method is very useful and very popular, but I also would say, instead of saying maybe, teaching or like, trying to fix the issue, maybe it's better to say like coaching, like, help person to find the solution instead of just telling that, that they did something bad. So thank you very much for sharing the information. It was very interesting to hear your side. So I guess we need to move just to make sure we're on time. So now I would like to talk a little bit. So how to provide upward feedback and why it is important. So again, a little bit about statistics. Managers play a critical role, and it's according to Gallup. Managers play a critical role in their employees' experience, and according to the Gallup's estimates, managers account for 70% of variance in employee engagement scores. If you want to keep your workforce engaged and motivated, start holding managers accountable to keep in contact with their teams. And managers should encourage their direct reports to provide upward feedback on a regular basis and hold follow-up meetings to build collaborative action plan together. Also, your feedback can help your boss and also improve your working relationship. Did you know that only 26% of employees who say they're burned out have told their managers or HR about it? If managers are alerted by their direct reports about potential burnout, they can take real-time action before it's too late. And in theory, it is very easy to provide feedback to your boss, but in practice, it's not that easy. And I can start, like, for example, my conversation. Hi, Rebecca, I like you a lot, but would it be a good start for providing feedback to your boss? Probably not, but maybe unless you have a great relationship with your boss. Who provided feedback to a manager? One of you just say, did you have a chance to do that? Was it hard to start conversation? What was the reaction? And what happened as a result? Anyone wants to share this information? Just have a quick discussion for a couple of minutes. Okay, then I'm going to share my experience. Before I moved to the United States in 2005, I worked for several Russian companies. And one of the companies was a small wholesale company, and I worked there as a sales manager. We sold office supplies to different companies. And the owner of the company could tell all the employees that he doesn't think that we worked and produced enough during this week. And he ordered all sales team basically to come to the office on a weekend and put another 8 hours to work. We didn't get any explanation why it wasn't enough or what did wrong. And I mean, when we started talking, basically all our questions were ignored. So all of our team was pretty young professionals at that time, and we did not know how to handle these kind of situations professionally. And I also noticed that more seasoned employees also couldn't say anything to him. But for that specific company, we had only one solution: find a different job. So there was no feedback. When we asked questions, we did not get any response from our manager. So he just liked us to work on weekends. So this is my experience. And I think in this kind of situation, if you have this kind of boss, I mean, it's just only way to find a different company. So this is another example of the from the movie Office Space, but again, I'm afraid, I mean, we will be a little bit behind on time. So, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you watched it. So, provide feedback to your boss. According to the Harvard Business Review, the relationship comes first. The ability to give and receive upward feedback, like any form of feedback, is dependent on your relationship between you and your boss. And before giving feedback, you need to find out if your boss will be open for that, to what you're going to say. If you know that your boss is unreceptive to feedback or likely to react negatively, or you don't have a good relationship, it's better to say nothing. And if manager is open-minded and you both have good relationship, always start talking. So again, focus on your perspective, frame feedback in the form of your perception. Concentrate on facts and not your opinion. Be assertive, clear, and let your managers know why it's important for them to hear it. For example, sometimes we get upset about certain things while working on the project, and we try to analyze it, why we were upset. And it's hard to form a clear statement what a manager or other people did, made us upset. And you just remember, we just remember the feeling that we got upset. Right? For example, you created a presentation for a project and your manager presented it to a client and didn't mention your name. Would you be feeling pretty upset about that? I mean, I would, honestly, if I would spend like several hours on that presentation. And instead of telling your manager what was kind of not nice, not to mention your name since you did all the work, you could phrase it different. I wasn't able to participate in that presentation with our client, but if our client has any questions, they can ask me those questions directly since I did all research and created this presentation. For example, another example, do you like meetings? It's again from my professional life. Do you like late meetings? Probably not. I don't like those. Since I come to the office early every single morning, I want to leave on time. And instead of telling my manager that I'm not going to participate in our late meetings, I told all my team, including my managers, that I come to the office every early and I have to leave at a certain time to pick up my kids. I'm not able to participate in meetings scheduled after 4 p.m. And honestly, with this direct feedback to my team, to my manager, it was accepted perfectly. So I did not have any meetings after 4 p.m. If you give feedback about an existing project where you work together, have outline details, again, like in previous examples, numbers written before the meeting. For example, I was working on a project in order to optimize our team's work, and I proposed several suggestions that will help to improve our workflow and schedule. Our stakeholders would have better idea when to expect deliverables. And I proposed all my suggestions during my one-on-one meeting to my manager. What do you think my manager told me? No, it will not work. No explanation, just no work. It will not work, that's it. So, and I kind of knew that my proposal would benefit my team, and I was upset for a little while because I was expecting different reaction from my manager, but did not get it. And it was, upset because it was rejected. So, and I know that when one door is closed, another can open, right? So what I did, my manager was on vacation, and I had to report to my manager's manager. And, I proposed the same proposal. I had a very lovely conversation with that person. I explained everything in details, and everything that I proposed was accepted. So there are a lot of ways how to present feedback to your manager, and you just need to find the right way and think through before you do that. So sometimes, even if boss asks for feedback, they can get mad, right? And so please be careful and make sure your feedback reflects your manager's goal, what they want to do. This way, probably, if you reflect their goal, they better way. The more they will get it, they will agree with this. So, and if you're not sure that your manager would listen to you, hold your tongue. So it's very sensitive, and try not to speak up. So don't risk your relationship, don't risk your your work space. So unless you feel that your boss's behavior is putting the company in jeopardy, and instead of look for opportunity like to give it anonymously feedback, go to HR or something else, but don't give it to your boss directly. And I'm sure about how to provide feedback to a boss. There is a lot of information and literature on LinkedIn. So I'm always constantly reading about that and trying to improve my knowledge as well. So how to ask for exceptional feedback. So first of all, find an expert whose opinion you respect and whom you trust. It's important to prepare a list of open-ended questions. Again, I'm mentioning preparing through word several times through my presentation. Be ready. Schedule a meeting in a comfortable environment. It's better to do it in person, but if it's not possible, do it online. Online meetings would work as well. Make notes or ask if it is okay to record. Very often during serious conversations, especially if this conversation about negative feedback or developmental feedback, people start getting nervous. Pay attention and take notes at the same time. Doesn't work very often. That's why it's important to ask you if you can record that meeting. You don't want to miss anything valuable, and that help you to improve yourself. For example, I was on an emerging leadership program at Christus Health, and one of the requirements to graduate from that program is to have an interview with a leader. So I scheduled a meeting with one of the vice presidents and in advance, and I asked if I can record our conversation. He agreed. So I did not record him. I just used my cell phone to record his voice. And I knew that all information that will be captured and I could concentrate on my questions. Our meeting went over time. We were able to ask more questions and I had my list. So, and I always ask in front of, like before the meeting, if it's okay, if it's necessary, if we can stay longer. So this way you can plan to finish on time, or you maybe can stay a little bit longer and talk about certain issue and try to resolve it, get more information, as more information as possible. If it's not okay to record, I would recommend to make notes and try to make those notes after the meeting just to ensure you don't miss anything valuable. And very important, don't be judgmental. Listen with an open mind, like growth mindset. Positive feedback is great for our feeling, but negative constructive feedback helps us to grow. Negative feedback can make us bitter or better, how Canadian writer Robin Sharma said. So, important things to remember. Provide feedback on time, especially if it's developmental negative feedback. Plan your feedback, gather facts that you're going to present online, outline your thoughts. Have a correct, right environment where people feel relaxed and comfortable. It's easier to have a two-way conversation when a person is not stressed out. If someone else provided feedback, thank that person, even if you did not like that feedback. If it's wasn't valuable for you, or you got upset, please thank that person. Ask open-ended questions, and it is very important. Practice giving feedback once per day, and you will get better at that. 5 to 10 minutes a day, I think, would be enough. You can do it in front of the mirror and look at your facial expression. People react on non-verbal language. How you look at a person, tone of your voice, tempo of your speech. Like actors practice their roles, so you can practice how to provide feedback. Even if a person doesn't feel comfortable to give feedback, it is possible to overcome this issue. So, and I would like to finish my presentation with a Bill Gates quote. We all need people who will give us feedback. That's how we improve. So thank you very much. Let's continue our conversation. If you have any questions, please connect with me on LinkedIn. And if you would use some of the methods that you learned today in your work environment, please share it with me. It would be really pleasant for me to know that someone used some of the suggestions. So Q&A session is open. Let me know if you have any questions.
Yeah. Just right quick before we get to the Q&A, I put the claim code for those of you that are members of the chapter. The PDUs will be submitted on your behalf within 3 to 5 business days. And for those of you that are guests, the claim code is in the chat, but I also wanted to provide it verbally. It's C106UFYTMM. So, and for those of you that may have just earned the PMP and self-reporting, you would go to PMI.org on submit the PDUs, and there's a category for I have a claim code. You would enter that in there and it'll pull up Natalia's meeting specifically and submit that 1.5 PDUs for you. So, and we've still got about 6 minutes left, so definitely like to open it up for any questions.
I have a question. So I have struggled with providing constructive feedback to a contractor that I technically have authority over, but I don't have any leverage. They've been awarded the contract. They're going to keep the contract. There's nothing I can do about that. They don't seem particularly receptive. It seems like from the points that you've provided, they're kind of, I almost would have to treat them as a boss when when strategizing feedback. Would you agree, or what would you add to that?
I would, first of all, I would try to understand why that person is not listening, or what's going on with that person. So, and try to see maybe something going on in the background, maybe if that's certain situation that, you know, something personal and problems in their lives or something, and they need to fix certain situations. And just what I would suggest, I would just go to that person and outline what you want to say first, and try to present it in a way that you have some ideas, like how to improve certain things on the project that you would like to work on, and you would like his help maybe, and maybe his suggestion. And when he sees that you value his time, you value his opinion, he will give you his opinion. But then you can say, you know what, I'm thinking about this situation, and what would you think, I mean, if we would do it this way and this way and this way, and then basically provide your feedback in a way of a suggestion, instead of, you're doing something wrong, or why you're not listening to me. Just as a suggestion, as a coaching, where, I mean, it is his or her right, I mean, to accept this or not to accept this. But I think this will help to discuss it at least, and find some clarification points on that. So I hope it helped.
Absolutely. I'm open to anything, so this will be helpful. I'll let you know how it goes. Thanks.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey, Natalia, I have one final question. It might be kind of silly. So I'm terrible at controlling my facial expressions. So what would you recommend if I'm receiving maybe feedback that's not so positive, or, more on the negative side? Do you have any pointers for controlling facial expressions if you're on a virtual call or in person? Or is that just something to work on?
You know what? I have the same issue, I can tell you. I don't have a poker face. Like my previous manager told me this, you don't have a poker face. You can see everything immediately. So I'm trying to keep myself calm, and not to have, even if I don't like something, I am trying to put these emotions away and keep my face calm, because I know as soon as I start thinking through this problem, through that situation in my mind, it will show up on my face immediately. So, and it takes some practice, I can tell you it, I mean, it will several times, just empty your mind. Okay, I don't like it. I will get back to that later. Just make notes. If that meeting is recording, that's totally fine. Just listen to that later. But don't try to, if you feel like that will affect you in the future, just try to maybe ignore it a little bit and then come back to that issue later. And get ready for the future discussion.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I'll give that a try.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It does look like there was a specific question there, Natalia. Just asking if you have the link for the Oak engagement data that you shared, and that was from Jen.
The links for the data, yes, I can share those links. If he can send me a message on LinkedIn, so I will share those links, definitely.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to remind everybody too that within the next day or two, we'll go ahead and we'll have the video posted to our website. Typically what I do, I mean, we do have a chapter LinkedIn group, but I also try to communicate a lot on my personal LinkedIn just to widen the message a little bit. So, but we'll share once that's out there. And I just wanted to say thank you to Natalia first for taking the time and sharing your experience with us, and then to everybody who joined us tonight too. And y'all will be seeing more emails on the in-person next Wednesday and more information coming out on the nominations for elections. So next month, I heard somebody from Toastmasters. So October 10th, we're going to have one of our members, Robbie Bird. He is a current member of Toastmaster as well. And he's going to be talking about the value of learning to public speaking as well. And so that information is on our website and it's free to join and sign up even before the communications go out. So. All right.
Yes,
Well,
thank you very much. Thank
Thank
you
you.
everyone for joining. So if you can maybe take turn your camera on and maybe we can take pictures
We can
and
do
post
that.
it on Facebook or LinkedIn.
Let's see. So I do Control All Print Screen for everybody that's.
Okay. Tanya, can you do that?
Yeah, I can do that. So I can do the print
Okay.
screen. So let me take a couple of them. All right. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let me do, I'm going to do a little bit manual for a second and email it to myself so I can do a different one too. I had my email down, but all right. So that's a 1. And then, okay. 1, 2, 3, say Taco Tuesday. All right. All right, I got 2 on here. And I will go ahead and I will share afterwards. So, all right. Thank y'all so much.
Yes,
And,
thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
right. Y'all have a good night.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Natalia, if you want to stay on and talk for a
Yes.
few minutes after, okay, I'm gonna stop the recording. Okay.